right, some announcements. I don't know if you noticed, but a sub-theme to this year's Dynamic Landscape is going green. We've tried to eliminate the conference handouts and reduce paper by putting things online. We've tried to, you see Champlain colleges do more composting than they used to. Put the microphone closer to my mouth. Yes, I got that now. In addition to going green, we are also asking you, if you're coming back tomorrow, to use the lakeside parking lot and use the shuttle as opposed to driving around town spewing carbon monoxide and looking for a parking space. And to be quite frank, I think it annoys the staff here who hopes just to stop, take their usual parking spot, go to work, rather than having to deal with us and coming in late to work. So tomorrow, if you're coming tomorrow, please use the shuttle or walk from the lakeside parking lot. And there is an online direction of how to get there if you're not sure. If you are not returning tomorrow, please turn in your name tags over on the desk there on the way out. Also, lost and found, one sweater looking for an owner, Sonoma black sweater, anybody? If it's yours, claim it up front. Next item, coming up, Vermont Fest. On Monday, we will release a request for presentations for Vermont Fest. And here's the rough draft of our website over here. I hope it shows up, right? Yeah, good. And we will be seeking presenters, and this will be released via the usual school IT listserv, Facebook, and so forth. So think about doing a presentation for Vermont Fest in November. The deadline is June 28th. We have to get this done quickly. Last thing I want to mention is on our website, VitalLearn's website, we have numerous ways to keep up with information. I would strongly encourage you to join the VitalLearn education discussion, which is sort of like a listserv, but on steroids. You can do image uploads and comments and so forth. So consider joining the VitalLearn community. Let's see. All right, I'm going to introduce our keynotes in a few seconds, and after the keynotes, we will do our door prizes, and we will be out of here by 4 p.m. The shuttles will be in the same place that they were when they dropped you off this morning. So, all right. My privilege to introduce Bonnie Birdsall. Bonnie is the Technology Director or Integration Specialist for the Williston School District. She works with teachers, staff, and students to help us all integrate technology into the curriculum in natural and meaningful ways to enhance learning. Bonnie brings with her 10 technology integrators or library media specialists with a passion for education. Get ready for the Vermont Smackdown. Bonnie?
Hi, is this working? Can you hear me? So I went to ISTE last summer and went to a session that was called the Ignite session, and it was really fun. And I learned a lot. There was a ton of energy and a lot of laughter, and I came back and I made the mistake of sharing that idea with Ed Berry. And Ed said, oh, let's put something like that together for one of our conferences. And so it went from there, and I thought it was just going to be a session, and it's evolved into the end of your day. So thank you for your patience. That introduction did feature words about me, but there are 11 of us, as you can see, involved in this. And what we're about to do is start this presentation, and each of us have 20 slides in there, and they are timed, and they will last for 15 seconds each. And whether we're finished talking, too bad, we're going to keep moving on. Our slides are going to keep going, and we're going to have to work with that. So join us in the laughter that may ensue, and hopefully you'll get something out of this. I'm going to start. So my topic is crowdsourcing, and what I would love to explain to you what it is, how it can be used in schools. And one of the questions is, what is crowdsourcing? And it's actually something that many of us have already done without necessarily knowing the term. So we might contribute other things to projects people are doing. One famous crowdsourcing project was the Life in the Day project that happened in 2010, where people around the world were encouraged to take photos on that day and then share them in the form of, they were shared and then someone put them all together. Wow, 15 seconds is fast. Kickstarter's another popular example of crowdsourcing. People are funding projects, and the Pebble Watch that's shown there at the bottom is an example of a project that was shared last year and has now become a reality thanks to community funding. So what does this look like in education? How can we contribute to one another's work, projects, and most especially learning? Oh, good timing. Here's an example. One of our art teachers in Williston used PB Works as a wiki to share what she has called the Global Art Show. So schools from Vermont, China, Thailand, and Peru are all contributing art, sharing it, and students are commenting on one another's art. And of course, there's the Google tools, which are really perfect for this, for crowdsourcing. And we're reaching beyond just Google Docs now. People are expanding into the other Google tools. And we have all this power at our fingertips. One example of a fabulous way of using Google tools is the Interesting Ways series. Tom Barrett created this idea, and what he does is creates a Google presentation around a common topic and puts a link to it out on Twitter. And people around the world contribute ideas. So here's one example is, how to use VoiceThread in the classroom. There are other things like how to use the Google tools, how to use a certain device, and even how to teach spelling. So go to the Interesting Ways series website and check that out. It's a great resource for teachers. Last year, I did a project with Google Maps for the 100th day of school, and we invited schools from around the world to drop a pin on the map to show us where they were located, and our school was paying attention and watching. We got about 120 pins dropped from all over the world, but during that project, we also noticed that South America was not getting any pins, and then it got determined that if it was February here, it was their summer vacation. So that ensued lots of great learning and discussion. This year, we decided to focus on Digital Learning Day in our school and share examples of what we did on that day. So every teacher, or many teachers, I should say, in our school contributed what they did that day onto this tool called ThingLink. And Padlet, which used to be Wallwisher, and there's another one called Lino, are great ways for people to contribute ideas. And Lino's a nice one in that people can move the stickies around, not just the owner of the site. So one example that happened this year is one of our teachers created a Padlet for her students to write nice things for Valentine's Day to their parents, but what the students didn't know is their parents were doing the same thing for them. And it always gets the awe. And another team used Padlet to do a character study, and they were reading Seed Folks and made separate Padlets for many of the characters, and students chose which ones they wanted to include a little snippet about that character or what that character liked. One of our teachers has become very involved in having her students be citizen scientists. If you haven't gone to inaturalist.org, check out that site. It's a place where people around the world are contributing to science projects, one of which is here in Vermont called the Vermont Atlas of Life. And there are people gathering data now for possible use in the future. What plants do we have in Vermont? What animals do we have? What insects? What other wildlife? Whatever. So we have a team of students who are contributing to this, and they are getting so engaged with this as a way to share their learning. So they took a picture of a bird that was at their feeder outside their classroom window and submitted documentation of how they identified that bird, and then scientists who are looking at the site regularly give that a quality grade, their research, and they got the research level grade, which was tremendously rewarding for them. That's the highest level. And then near the end here, Piggybacker is a newish tool, just like Kickstarter for adults. Piggybacker is a new tool for students who are doing projects or trying to raise money or funds for a specific cause. So, finally, you want to use the crowd? Be a part of this phenomenon, and I bet that actually you already have been. Here we go.
Oops. I get an extra slide. It's a transition. Hi, I'm Lucy Delabriere, and I'm going to talk a little bit about our powerful learning environments that today's digital tools can bring to you. And when they asked me to talk about my passion, I'm like, egads, my passion in 5 minutes, that's almost impossible. I have way too many passions. But when I really thought about it, it came down to just one word, learning. So my blog site, Learning with Lucy, was named that because that's my passion, learning. And that passion ended up being why I became a teacher. Not only could I learn every day, but I got to be part of students' world where they're learning every day, helping kids learn. How cool is that? It's true, I feel so blessed that I work in an area that's a labor of love, and I can't tell the difference between love and play. Imagine what John Dewey would have been like if he had worked in this particular era where, I'm supposed to laugh now, right? Anyway, it's where he could create amazing learning environments where kids can write and be published, can compose music and be heard, can produce films, and not just for their classrooms, but also for an authentic audience. I have a feeling that the Linux magazine that quoted Linux Guy on their Linux magazine did not know that they were quoting a 7th grade student blogger from St. Albans City School who had over 2,000 views on his blog. And I bet you that the kids from Montpelier High School probably had no clue that they were going to be featured in the New York Times and have over 250,000 views for their music video, 802. If you have not seen it, you definitely need to go and take a look at what the power of digital tools can bring to us. They can help us create learning environments where every student's curiosity can be fueled, and they can wonder, and they can search about anything, not just what they have in their school library or what their state standards said that they should be studying this year. Just the other day, my grandson impressed me with the fact that he understood how much time was left before we were going to be somewhere. And I said, "Are you studying time in school, Simon?" And he said, "No, Grandma, we do that in 3rd grade. We have to wait till 3rd grade. We don't do that in 1st grade, Grandma." And this is the same grandson who brought me this that weekend. And it is finger knitting, and it's something that he made. And I asked him, "How'd you learn how to do that? That's so cool, Simon." He said, "YouTube." And I said, "Really? But how did you know what to look up on YouTube?" And he said, "Well, Sarah was doing it on the bus, but she didn't have time to show me." So I said, "Wow, that's so cool. Would you show me, Simon?" He goes, "Yeah. You go to your computer and you type in youtube.com. But anyway, YouTube's not the only tool that can create powerful learning environments. But yet some people in some schools are spending money on trying to cripple that tool and to limit it and keeping kids from accessing YouTube. And yet they're spending more money on professional development to help us make kids more self-directed. I don't get it. And other powerful tools that we have access to, like Google Apps, Google Maps, SketchUp, 3D printers, tools that can be used to solve real problems, real kids, real tools, making it possible to live life. These kids from St. Albans, for example, I walked into their classroom, and they used their iPods and iPads to mark points of where all the street lights were in St. Albans, and then they made a Google map of where they wanted street lights and presented that to the city council and said, "This is where we want street lights to keep our city safe." I think that these are the types of things that we see where real kids are living life, not just preparing for life. And I think John Dewey would definitely agree that education is the process of living and not just preparing for the future. And the coolest thing is, a lot of the kids have these tools in their pockets, in their cell phones, and their iPods, and they're carrying them around. Yet some schools are trying to figure out, how do we limit the access to these tools for kids during the school day, instead of teaching how to use those tools powerfully like this school is. Imagine what John Dewey would have done if he had worked in an environment that educators not only adopted his belief that education should be social, but they also adopted the belief that use their digital tools to expand the social part of learning so that it spans beyond the classroom and into other countries, into other time zones. I think John Dewey would have been really impressed had he walked into Sharon Davidson's classroom and watched her kindergarten students regularly talk with friends from around the world who drop in and visit their kindergarten class in their classroom via Skype. So I'm thinking, heck, I've been teaching 30 years. I don't want to retire. I want to go back to kindergarten and start all over again and keep learning and doing the thing I love most and I'm passionate about, it's learning. And with digital tools, I can do that. I can go to MIT's lifelong kindergarten class and take a class with Mitch Resnick. I can continue to help Vermont educators from whatever location I happen to be in. I just moved into this bus, and I'm living there for 18 months full-time, and I can learn and teach from my bus anywhere because of today's digital tools.
Hi. My name is Jessica Wilson. I'm the tech integrationist at the Heinsberg Community School. And this is one of my favorite quotes. Once we get rid of our traditional thinking, we can get on with creating the future. I'm going to do my presentation on Google Hangout. Now, Google Hangout is part of the Google Education suite of applications, and I wanted to show you what it's like to experience a Google Hangout. So the first thing we do when we think about a Hangout is, why do we hang out? It's about connecting, it's about sharing, and it's about learning. It's all about working with other people, getting out there, and really experiencing new and exciting things. So the first thing you do is, so you say, how do you get there? Now, you might have heard that Google just updated Google+, so you might have to ask your network administrator to turn it on, but it's in the top right corner, and it has a little plus sign next to your name if you're on your Google accounts. Once you get onto there, you're going to go in and you can see a part where it says, start a Hangout. Now, this Hangout that I'm going to share with you, obviously I would love to do one live, but slides don't permit that. So my colleagues and I, they're very willing to let me screenshot our Hangout. So we meet once a week, the rest of the tech educators in my district, and we talk for about an hour. We used to meet once a month, but this has allowed us to meet once a week, and it's really opened up our professional development together and let us collaborate more. So some of the features on a Google Hangout is that you can take a snapshot of the Hangout. And of course, when you do this, there's a little camera icon that comes up, and it lets everybody else know in the Hangout that you're going to take a picture. Those pictures then get emailed into your Google Plus account. You can put on headwear. And these are just fun little things that you can add on. One of the things that we've started doing is, we're tech integrators, and there's always people coming into our office, and so we'll put a little hat on, letting the rest of the other people know that, hey, someone's here, we're not available. There's a piece called the lower third. So if you're in a group of people that you don't know, you can put on who you are. You can add a flag, you can add a little comment, you can add an icon. Just lets people know who you are. What's great about it is it is a Google product, is that you can bring in any of your Google documents. So here's a screenshot of, you're looking at my Google Drive, and then once I decide which file I want to look at, I can then pull up that collaborative document, and because it's collaborative, all those people within that Google Hangout, we can then edit and share. So here's something that we are working on together, our tech goals for the district. And again, it's all live. Right going. You can also pull up a chat feature on the side of it. So not only are you watching through video, but you're also having a little chat on the outside. So people can actually be multitasking. People are chatting on the side, talking on the same side. You can screen share your computer. So if I want to show my desktop or something on my computer, I can pull that up, and the rest of the people within the Hangout can see it as well. It's a great little piece. You can help out with people. The other piece too is that you can add in video. So I could pull up a video in the Hangout, and we could collaboratively watch that video together. So that's a Google Hangout in about, what, 30 seconds? The next piece, so what I think about is that it's kind of this tidal wave of information that's coming at us. And ones and zeros in the tech world, that's all kind of like computer language, and it's kind of coming in at us. And I have to say, what do we do with it? How do we organize it? How do we get situated? So I'm just going to share you 2 tools that I found that I really like to use. One is EdgeShelf. It allows you to select by if you want something free or paid, what age you want it to be, what type. So it doesn't have to be an iPad. It could be a computer. It could be a website. And it could be, you can choose different selections. And what it does is it goes out and collects information, and it sends it to me. Here's an example of what I get in my email. It's a daily kind of update, just gives me some creative ideas. The next one that I like is Pinterest, and this is something I just came into this year, but again, it's organizing my data and all that information. And what I love about Pinterest, it's a very visual thing. So what I have here, I have ones for kindergarten apps, I have ones for middle school, and for me, it's not just words on a page, it's very visible. This is, for example, I'm doing a middle school one-to-one, and here I'm collecting apps for those teachers so they can go in and they can decide if those are apps that they want to use or not. So I leave you with another quote that I like, or rather it's a saying, so tell me and I'll forget, show me and I may not remember, involve me and I'll understand.
All right, so I'm Amy Boucher, and I'm the tech integrationist in Colchester. I have just gotten this job this year, so I'm kind of the newbie in the group. 15 seconds. So I'm here to talk to you about Wonderblogging. I can start a little bit. And Wonderblogging is something that a teacher in my district started this year, and I was very impressed with it. Very impressed with the way that it would connect with the Common Core, which we're all thinking about, and also helping kids prepare for SBAC, which a lot of schools are really thinking about. So the partnership started with a Skype meeting, a mystery Skype, between 2 teachers. Miss Mercede's class is in Chicago, and Miss LaRose is in Colchester. And what they started was Wonderblogging. And Wonderblogging is really just a combination of using a really fabulous website, Wonderopolis, and your blog platform of your choice for your students. When you go to the Wonderopolis website, every day there is a new wonder. So, and with each new wonder, there is a lot of supporting material. There are in-depth answers. There's an awful lot of additional media that you can use. There's usually a video of some sort that supports the additional information. The topics are really varied. There's a lot of educational topics, but there's a lot of really fun topics. So sometimes the teachers just pick something for fun. You can search Wonderopolis, you can connect it to your curriculum really easily because you can search by categories. So categories connect not only to the regular ed curriculum, but they also connect to arts, music, PE. You can search Wonderopolis. The Wonderopolis answers, include usually a video, and often it's a very educational video. Sometimes it's a little more fun. But the answers are very in-depth, and the vocabulary is very high, which is why it offers a great opportunity, I think, for all elementary and maybe even middle school teachers. So what is Wonderblogging? These 2 teachers get together and pick a wonder based on one or both of their curriculum, and then their students blog daily during their Daily 5. So these 2nd graders blog every single day during Daily 5. And on Monday, the teachers introduce the wonder, and she posts the wonder, the very beginning part of it, kind of the hook, on the blog so that students don't peek, because they did start to peek when they started at the answer. And Wednesday's the day they get the answer. So she'll post it, and then they brainstorm. So they talk about the ideas and what they think about it, and then the teacher will, on another blog entry, will start to write the students' responses, and just 2 or 3 different responses so that they can refer back to it. Students then, during their literacy time, go on as part of the routine. They are completely independent. It is amazing to watch. And they blog. They're expected to blog 2 or 3 sentences. On Tuesday, they visit their buddy blog's blog, and they read the post that their buddy wrote, and then they comment. And they are really encouraged to ask a question or add new information. And at this point, they really still don't know the answer. Wednesday's the big reveal, and that's Wonder Wednesday. And in the morning, both teachers will watch the video with the students and do a close read of the text. And the text really works very well for that. Then the students, during their blogging time that day, during the Daily 5, will add new information in a different color. So they will take what they learned now, and they don't take anything off the blog, they just simply add to the blog. Why do kids love wonder blogging? Well, some of the videos are really cool and fun, and they're not as educational, and kids kind of like those, but you also learn an awful lot on Wonderopolis. The topics are so varied. This student right here, he wrote, those were all his, one student. All day he went home and he just wonder blogged. So wonder blogging really supports the Common Core Anchor Standard 1 and 7, so reading closely with the text that is provided, as well as integrating content from different media. Writing anchor standards, there are 3 of them. The informational writing, writing with technology, which will help with SBAC, of course, and then gathering information from multiple print and digital sources. It also supports the language arts standard for vocabulary, because there is both academic and domain-specific words. And almost all it's really very high vocabulary. They do not lower it for for kids. So the question is, are you ready to wonder? Because I'm looking for folks to want to do some wonder blogging. It really works well when you have a partner class. And so please contact me if you are interested, because I have lots of teachers who would love to.
I'm Lisa Berry, and I'm the Technology Integration Specialist in Essex Town School District, and I'm going to share with you some resources that are available for the Common Core. The standards call for students to be able to move further in the Bloom's taxonomy with emphasis on analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Integrating technology will engage students and give them the power to gain deeper understanding of this new learning. And a lot of the tools that I'm going to show today, or the pages I'm going to show, will help with that. The first one that I want to talk about is the Common Core app that is available for the iPad, and that is a free app. And it's very easy to look up the standards in there and to see what some of the relations are in there. And the second one that I want to talk about is the P21 toolkit, which can be downloaded as a PDF. And in that, it helps you provide a necessary overview. It shows how to align some of those P21 skills and the Common Core standards. Wes Fryer has a published ebook, and he's coming out with a Common Core ebook this spring. It may already be out, but it will be out shortly. And he is a great resource. It's somebody that you might want to check out some of his ebooks, Playing with Media, and his new Common Core book. Catlin Tucker is from California, and she has done some wonderful work with Google Docs and the Common Core, and she has some great resources on her website that would be very helpful as well. Check out your Chrome web store. There's lots of web tools that can be integrated into your Chrome browser that you can download and use. So if you haven't checked out your Chrome web store, that is an area that you should be checking out to get more resources from. On the teaching channel, if you're looking for some resources directly related to Common Core and how to implement them into your classrooms, there's some great video examples that are on there as well. It has lesson objectives and questions to consider, so that is a nice resource as well. If you aren't a Diigo user, using Diigo, the social bookmarking site, what's nice about using that social bookmarking site is that you can also annotate, and you can highlight what you're going to be putting on when you're on a web page. You can highlight the information. There's a blog connecting the ELA standards. This is an interactive language arts blog. It's Scott Naylor, and he has a lot of resources to the literacy. Connecting technology to Common Core. If you haven't checked out, there's lots of live binders, and a lot of those live binders have on them tabs that have related to ELA and to the math. And as Jessica stated, Pinterest is a new resource that I haven't learned a lot about, but I've started pinning and started following a lot of people, and it has a lot of resources on it, that as well. The Vermont Department of Ed has some resources that are available related to both ELA and math and some of the Science Next Gen standards, and is another area that you should check out. Now, Bonnie, I don't know if Bonnie mentioned this, but this presentation is going to be available on the VitalLearn site, so you can access all of these sites. 50 Common Core resources for teachers. It has good place to start looking for some starting points. It has some resources, curriculum, blogs, and presentations that are broken up into that. The Math Coaches Corner has a link to the North Carolina Common Core information, and they've done a lot of work already on their curriculum, and it would be a good place to start looking at some of the Common Core relationships. Watch, Know, and Learn is another video site that you can get some videos where you can watch some examples of using the Common Core in there. This one has checklists for each of the ELA standards in it. So each of, you can go in and you can do a checklist that you can print out so you could keep track of which Common Core standards you have been covering in your classrooms over the time. And this resource, the Essential Educator, is one that would be a good resource for special educators. It has resources that are specific to implementing the Common Core in special education. And then the literacy, integrating the STEM, literacy, and the Common Core has links to ideas for integrating all of those areas into one, and it takes you to several locations to do that. And my last slide is the Vermont Education Exchange. And this is a resource that is a Vermont resource. You should be signing up, and in there you can find all of the information about SBAC and the Common Core that's being done in Vermont.
Hi, I'm Donna. I'm a teacher librarian at a K-5 school, and I'd like to share with you how I had a personal goal this year to connect my students globally throughout the school year using Twitter, Skype, and Edmodo. So starting in September, we joined International Dot Day, which is September 15th, and it's based on this book here by Peter Reynolds, and Bonnie is our Fable Vision ambassador. But we connected through Google Docs and Skype in the classroom. And Dot Day is great for kindergartners and first graders. It teaches them to take a risk and try new things. And here we are, we Skyped all day long on International Dot Day. Lots of fun. And then moving on to the Global Read Aloud. In October, that we read the same book over a 6-week period. And there's a choice in how you want to connect in the Global Read Aloud with one class or many classes. We read One and Only Ivan and Charlotte's Web. The voting's going on right now for next year's book. In November, we joined I Spy in the Community. They were founded on Twitter from a South American school. There were 13 classrooms, only 3 in the United States. One happened to be on Staten Island. The second graders researched places in their community, created voice threads, shared it with the group, and all commented on each other's voice thread. And then Hurricane Sandy hit. And of course, we had friends in Staten Island. Well, my students felt that they needed to take action to help their new friends. It was real authentic learning. The students raised hundreds of dollars in home improvement gift cards, home household items, and even holiday gifts. They made a difference in someone else's life. In December, we did some mystery Skypes. You can find them in Skype in the Classroom. There's a wiki page with all sorts of interested classrooms. These are my 3rd graders trying to figure out a school in Missouri. But you can also do mystery Skypes on all sorts of things, authors or presidents or whatever. This is January. Authors. There are so many authors on Twitter. The wiki page that I linked to has 20 pages of authors that would love to tweet with you. So I hope that you can tweet or Skype with them. There are 19 DCF authors that I found of the 30 on the DCF list. They'd love to connect with your students. And here's a few tweets that I've gotten from DCF authors. And then my next slide is about Edmodo Pen Pals. We joined this group in February, I think it was, and we've made connections with third graders in South Africa and Texas through Edmodo, which was just fabulous, and we're still chatting with those folks. In March, for World Read Aloud Day, we was right after vacation. We made connections on a group wiki and with Twitter. We had all sorts of guest readers that could be authors on Skype, as well as classrooms all over the world. We combined it with Read Across America because we were on vacation, and there are my kindergartners wearing their Dr. Seuss hats as we were Skyping with all sorts of friends around the country. And then in April, we celebrated Poem in Your Pocket Day. And that's for National Poetry Month. So April 18th and 19th, and the following weeks in some states, we read our poems, and we Skyped, and we connected through Twitter, and there we are reading our poems for Poem in Your Pocket Day. We also, all day long we did that. And some students also visited with, read poems from established poets, or they wrote their own poems. These girls, well, the whole class actually wrote poems for 2 voices, and they shared them with a class in Maryland. And you'll see that our connection through Twitter there. Oh, through the year. Skype in the classroom, we connected with a Yellowstone National Park ranger last week, actually, because we're up to May now. And I had 57 second graders in my library classroom Skyping with this ranger, which was 45 minutes. And there she is. She gave fabulous information and answered the students' questions very thoughtfully and respectfully. Also in May, we've been collecting weather data with schools in Russia, Spain, New Jersey, and West Virginia. We've Skyped with classes this week for Children's Book Week. We are doing a 9 to 9 Skype marathon on May 30th that's organized by a school in Australia, and the focus is on community. That should be lots of fun. And just, it's great to connect your kids globally. There's so many opportunities. So try connecting. You never know what can happen. Go Red Sox. They actually did come to my school.
I'm Dave Davidson. I'm the Tech Integration Specialist for Chittenden Central, and I'm going to talk about robotics, doing robotics with young students. We've been doing this for 2 years. When I was in elementary school, if I thought about robotics, this is what I thought about. I'm going to talk about 2 things. I want to explain some reasons why you may want to start a robotics program with your younger students, and to tell you a few of the things that we have learned during the 2 years that we've done this program. Our goals were to help students get better at working with partners, problem solving using creative solutions, following visual directions, understanding simple machines, and learning basic computer programming. The next generation science standards have an engineering design component for young students that may push robotics along. For example, one standard requires students to develop a physical model to illustrate how the shape of an object helps it function to solve a given problem. We use the Lego WeDo construction sets. Students can build Lego structures that include motors, sensors, gears, pulleys, cams, and so on, and then design computer code to operate these creations. These kits work well with second and third graders and also with first graders with additional support. We ran 6 one-hour sessions. 1 hour seems to be about enough time with second and third graders to plan, build, and test one project, debrief, and clean up. First graders needed almost twice as much time. On the next slide is pictured what we thought eventually was the perfect workstation. 2 students with 1 kit at a big table with plenty of room to build. A netbook with the WeDo software loaded, room for testing and note-taking, and 2 headsets with a splitter. The kits are expensive. They're $130 each. The software is $300 for a site license. But it is a long-term investment if you take care of it. For personnel, we were lucky. We had a 6-to-1 ratio of students to teachers with the older students, and a 2-to-1 ratio with the first graders. You can do it with fewer adults, but initially You may need help until you and your students get comfortable with the kits. We follow the LEGO manual pretty closely. It has great documentation. We usually did 6 projects out of the 12 possible, and the last was usually a choice. First graders needed 1 session to build and 1 to program. A good idea to get bins with snap-on covers. This helps with stackable storage between sessions. It holds partially completed projects, room for headsets, papers, and so on, and also great for sifting through pieces so they don't end up on the floor. 2 students per kit works well. Unlike some projects where 1 student might end up watching, there's plenty for 2 students to do, and all the jobs are interesting. The collaboration makes for a better experience for both students. The main jobs are finding parts and building, and later programming and testing. Using a timer and having students switch jobs every 5 minutes is a good idea. You'll want to keep the kits separate. Having students work at separate tables helps. There's a temptation for teams to want to work together, to share parts and borrow from each other. Don't let them do this. Each kit has 150 parts, and you don't want to have to inventory 10 kits to make sure they all have the right pieces. 1 missing piece can make it impossible to build some projects. One of our rules has been, as soon as a piece falls on the floor, stop and pick it up. We always end each session by searching the floor for pieces. As hard as you try, pieces are going to get lost or broken, so buying extra pieces is a good idea. The teacher's manual contains great support materials to help students get more out of each activity. Testing different arrangements of gears and pulleys and cams gives students a chance to think about why their machines operate the way they do. It will be tempting to just keep building projects and programming them, but you'll want to take the time to discuss general principles behind how things work and how what they are learning applies to the world around them. There are plenty of online resources to supplement the teacher's manual. Don't shortchange the programming component. Students build the program out of a fairly limited number of components. Many components can be modified by changing related variables. After becoming familiar with the program's components, it's a good idea to ask how they might program a project before they see the suggested programming. Promote experimentation with the programming. A good student-teacher ratio helps here. You'll have the opportunity to push students and suggest possibilities. You can ask questions like, how could you make it run faster or spin longer? Try to get to the innovation level. Following directions is fine, but try to get your students to experiment with possibilities that are not in the directions. You'll know it's working well when you hear students say things like, I wonder what would happen if. This was often the best hour of my week. I love talking about it. I'm happy to talk to anyone who wants to discuss it more. You can find me at the conference tomorrow or send me an email.
Oh, one more. Am I on? No, that's on me. Yeah? 2, 1, 0. Okay, hi everybody. I'm John Minnelli, and from the Marion Cross School in Norwich. And mine is about this device, the iPad, which is certainly not anything that's uncommon. But I wanted to talk about having a little bit of an epiphany the last year with the device. And, you know, yeah, there's really, really great apps for it. There's great drill and practice apps, Barefoot Atlas or 3D Pyramids. They're wonderful. But it's like, if you can think of it as a creation device as opposed to a consumer device, I'm thinking it's going to be a lot better. How I got the idea was the IT list shared this video. These are kindergartners in the Midwest making life cycle of butterfly videos. And it was the coolest thing ever. And it's like, if those kids can do it, my kindergartners can absolutely do it. How you do it is a couple things. First, you need content on the device. So these are the simple things. You need a camera, certainly. Take pictures with your iPad. If you see it on the web, hold your finger over it, and you can save it. If it's on the iPad and it's a great app like Solar Walk or the Pyramids app, hit the power button and the home button and capture it. And when it's in the camera roll at the bottom, you can edit it right there. So build content, get pictures. Or, and this is what the kindergartners did, and this is the best $2.99 I ever spent at my elementary school, is to buy a drawing pad. There's lots of drawing apps that are really great, but everybody in my building, from kindergarten through 6th grade, they're drawing, drawing, drawing. I call these my storyboard apps. Certainly Poplet, and there are other ones, but I'm a big inspiration and kidspiration guy from years ago. Ask the kids to make concept maps of anything they're going to do, outline things. Or various, I call these my other storyboard apps. Corkulus or Scrap It, make a scrapbook. Make a cork board with notes and pictures. Get these things made and saved. Still not special if you do it that way. Here's another one. This is felt board. You've seen these. You used to play with these when you were little. I can have different characters, different scenes. I can have different clothing. Get these things made. So what? Hold on. Okay. How about you like Wordle or you like Tagxedo? Well, I wish there was Java. I wish there was Flash. There isn't. Tag Cloud, 99 cents. Make a Wordle. Save it. Get it on the camera roll. All right? You've got those pictures. Now, how about some video? All right? My wonderful French teacher, Allison Litton's here with me. Between Puppet Pals and Sock Puppets, we're making movies all the time in French, constantly. iMotion HD, stop motion, free app. Science teacher, film our experiments, slow them down, watch the yeast change with the sugar and warm water, shoot video, fill the camera roll with video. How do you tie it together? I used to like EduCreations. We know those apps. We know Screen Chomp. If I get an app that's a whiteboard app that lets me save the movie, and I can put the movie in the camera roll, I can do something with it. So here we are. I've got pictures. I've got screen captures. I've got inspiration maps. I've got felt board pictures. I've got student drawings. I have to talk fast. If I have this product, I can center it in a place like, hold on, iMovie, $4.99 well spent. My pictures go there. My movies go there. I can narrate it. I can talk over it. I can get titles. I can get credits. I can get anything I want and tie all of these projects together. iMovie gives me the combination of images and video. I can edit it. I can add titles. I can add background music. I can add background music on segments and save that part and combine it with another piece. Bring all of these things together. Add a narrative track. How about your own music? Used to do this at Dothan a few years ago with Poetry Night, but my kids can add it, bring in a karaoke track, play it, sing on it, add smart music, and record narration in their own music. Where's it going? It's going back in iMovie. Once it's in iMovie, what can I do with it? Well, Allison's filling YouTube personally with video. Or I can just send my finished movie back to the camera roll. Once it's in the camera roll, we have a wonderful Dropbox that she's always on me, and my teachers are always on me. We need more space. 5 wonderful gigs of student work from Marion Cross School, combination of all these different apps. The boxes are filled with all of these different multimedia products. And where does that go? QR codes everywhere. At any moment in time, a student can pull one of the devices out and scan it and watch their classmates work. Parents can walk through the building, scan a QR code, and see what's going on, and it's a student-created product.
Hi, I'm Amanda Paquette from the Hartford School District, where I'm the K-8 Tech Integrationist, and I want to talk to you about how we decided to change the way we approach tech integration by breaking up in our school and using mixed devices. So looking at the study from Common Sense Media, computer use is pervasive among our youngest children. Our elementary school students lacked access at school. Technology was predominantly meant going to the computer lab for us. We weren't keeping up with the way kids were learning outside of school. And again, according to this research, over 50% of kids under 8 have access to the newer mobile devices. And that was, sorry, thank you. Okay, so why things need to change, and again, this is research from Pew, that we found that the overwhelming majority of student use of the internet for education happens outside of schools and outside of teacher direction. And this was a real missed opportunity for us. We wanted to provide our students with opportunities for safe, responsible, and creative use of technology. So we assembled teachers that wanted to work on this, and we called them our demolition crew. So what that meant for us was making things messy, using mixed devices, wireless access, Google Apps School, weekly 30-minute tech meetings. We went back to look at what was really important for us, our structural integrity. And in our mission statement, we say that we are a dynamic learning community. But were we really following through with that? We needed to, and we wanted to provide our students with more opportunities to access technology and the internet. So once we knew that where our center was, we decided to take things apart that weren't working for us. So we provided support and space for teachers to transition to learners and coaches, to take risks in their classroom, to connect with others. So what teachers have had to say about students this year when they've been working in this program is that they can show understanding of what they're learning in new and collaborative ways, that they can be more independent and collaborative. They can access information, share their documents, and teachers can give immediate feedback on student work. So some of the things that we've done this year is we invited our high school students who are pros at Google SketchUp to come and give a little tutorial to help our students. So allowing space for students to learn from each other, not having the teacher have to be the expert all the time. Consistent communication was really important between our students, amongst our staff, and our community and parents. And so I was really proud that by the end of this year, 50% of our K-5 classes have an active online presence, either through Twitter, blogging, or their class website. A commitment to digital citizenship was really important to us as well, committing to having tough conversations with kids, and just knowing that because they know how to use the technology doesn't know that they necessarily know the right way to use it. And I think teachers were surprised at how much kids wanted to talk about this. New ways to share what we know. We took our iPads to the polling stations this year to interact with our community and interview them about why they thought voting was important, getting some real-time information. And it was great because one of the women that was voting pulled out her cell phone and asked one of our students for help. Hanging out and learning in physical space was no longer a limitation to our resources. We can use tools like Google Hangout that others have already talked about, so we can connect with our partnerships in the community without always having to travel or for them to travel to us. Using Twitter to collaborate amongst our classes and across our school buildings and really to whomever. This is our kindergarten and a fourth grade class. They have kind of taken on buddy class with each other and have started to have conversations with each other. Using tools like Padlet with our parents, similar to the Valentine's Day, our students took a trip to Antarctica and wrote letters home to their parents, and their parents were able to write back to them and engage with them, even though they weren't able to be physically in the classroom. They're part of this learning process with us. Using other collaborative tools like VoiceThread across our elementary schools, so sharing what our ideas are and realizing students can realize that conversations can happen anywhere at any time. They don't have to be in the same classroom with their peers. Access to our experts in our community, so inviting our community to come in and talk about how they use technology in their lives and in their careers. This was something, a new event that we started this year, a career day that was spearheaded by our counselor. And using collaborative and social media tools like Edmodo, Padlet, Bitly, and others with the teachers so that they could realize how to use them, giving them support so that they might understand ones that they might want to use with their students. And Bitly bundles, that's another one of my favorites. So giving them support of how to use these tools. Almost there. And if there's any question why we did this is one of my favorite quotes from this year from one of my students, showing him how to use Poplet. This thing is blowing my mind up.
Hi, I'm Linda McSweeney from Stowe High School. I'm the librarian there. We're fortunate to have a really open network. Students bring their own devices. Most students think they're very tech savvy. And in some ways they are, in other ways, not quite so much. This sits on my self-checkout computer. And I had a young man that came up to the computer, the very first middle schooler, that laughed at it. It's a little worrisome when other kids say things like, was the internet really back there when Abraham Lincoln was. So we taught them to read. We taught them to do math, and we still do. Then we taught them this. Of course, it's Greek to me, but it's my daughter's first language. I'll give it a minute. I'm a little ahead. Okay, that's my daughter's first language. And now at Stowe High School this past year, we are teaching this. And I sure hope this is not pornographic and no one can read Chinese. I got it off of Wikipedia. So, but we do have a Chinese teacher at school, and this is the new literacy. So, how do we teach our students to be literate in 2013? This is really the question. They're tech savvy, but are they tech literate? Here's the old school definition of literacy: the ability to read and write. I think I've probably missed a few on this next slide, but there are many kinds of literacies now. Musical, computer, cultural, visual, multicultural, financial, culinary, one of my favorites, information, statistical, lots of kinds of literacies. How many of you receive this as a Twitter message? So the combination of digital images and social media can make for very interesting literacies. So what about this? Is it a flood in a McDonald's in Virginia, or is it an art installation? When in doubt about literacy, I always consult a writer. And then, after I do that, I make up my own quote and I attribute it to Anonymous. So, here are my 7 things to start teaching tomorrow. And I know some of you have already started teaching some of these. Teach find in Google. How many people know how to do Control F in a long Google document? Okay, now you all know how to do this. Control F or Command F on a Mac. Long page of data. Dan Russell from Google did a survey, and 90% of 2,000 English-speaking people did not know how to do that. Teach the vocabulary of the web. You just saw it go right by. Teach those emoticons. What does it mean when a student sends you a colon with an O next to it? Teach data, my pet peeve. Watch Sunday morning news shows. Teach students how to find reliable data and teach them how to use the data. Oh, I am behind. All right. 2 slides. Teach point of view. Type in Martin Luther King in the Google search box, and the second result is a website from Stormfront, a white supremacist group. There it is. And you have to click through a little bit to figure that out on that website. Teach them how to think outside the search box. The best results might just be in a how-to video on YouTube, as we saw from Lucy, on a Google map, on an image digitized by the Library of Congress, on a curated site like Digo or Live Binders, as we just heard from John, from asking a question on Twitter, Skyping an expert, or another way. Get your cell phones out, take a picture of this image up on the screen, and you can do an image search and do the impossible. You can find out who that Asian woman is giving my daughter a violin lesson, world famous violinist. So you can do it later on the slideshow. Sorry.
Where'd we go? Did we just... Oh, we're over here. Sorry. Where we are. Oh, and we're behind. I'm Shannon Walters. I'm a teacher in Burlington. And the original question was, am I a teacher librarian, a school library media specialist, a tech integrationist, a teacher? What does it mean? Why is it important? It's important because it drives the mission. It helps us find the passion. And too many people, even though we think of ourselves like Batgirl, who was a librarian, too many people see us as that old, crusty, shushing librarian. We do still have the traditional role of trying to curate and collect the best resources, but too often we get caught in being the hunter and gatherer, going for the safari, finding the cool tool just because it's cool. We still look for really great resources. We heard today fabulous things about books to get kids excited. We know that we go beyond our local places and we've used Twitter to find other new things, that we use our PLCs to get the best resources. But we also need to make sure that we are putting those curation tools in the hands of our kids. It's not just what we do, but what we make possible for our students. We have great examples. Sue Monmouth has started her Pinterest page, and what a fabulous way to have kids think about what they want next, build their book lists and to share what they're doing. It's about building our digital toolbox. We have in our schools, we have in our libraries great ways for students to access. We saw Ira this morning talk about getting the information that kids need into their hands in whatever format they need it to access the learning. Linda, who we just saw, has great modeling for kids thinking about what's the next best tool to help kids curate the information that they need. And again, it's not just about us doing it, but making sure that our students can do it, that they can own their learning. Whether it's Mentor Mob or Bundle Nuts, I learned that today from Renee in a session, it's all about getting those tools and then thinking about it. This is a piece where I had students at my school starting to think about what they want in our library as we're looking to transform this space. So they have some pretty wild ideas. We'll see what we can make. It is, as Joyce Valenza said, making our schools more like kitchens and less like the grocery store, making it a space where kids can do the learning, where they can put things together, synthesize, and really just make their meaning. Tech integrationists, you have a much better image out there. I liked that cooking. That came up with it. We still are going out to gather the best learning opportunities, but it's not just about the tools. I found myself last weekend at the Tarrant Institute iPad workshop saying, wow, Subtest rocks. But it's not because it's cool or new. It's about making a space for kids to learn with. Why are names important? They're important because it is what frames our discussion, and what frames our learning and our passion. If you look at today's conference, when you registered, you didn't register for a tech conference. You didn't register for a library conference. You registered for a learning conference. And that's a really different piece. I'm really glad that that's how Ed framed it. It's about our learning and our modeling that learning and bringing that learning back and being learners in front and with our students. It's not all about the pencil. We will always have the new technology, but it's how we frame it for our kids, and it's those learning opportunities that we provide for them and that we model, that we're doing all of these things. It's not about the tool, it's about how we use them and how we let kids use them. Chris Lamon is one of my heroes, and he really talks about the fact it's not the stuff. The technology isn't the key. It should be invisible. It needs to be there. It needs to be robust, but it really is what we're making of it. It's providing the opportunity for kids to think. AASL talks about standards, and they start with thinking, having kids think more deeply about whatever interests them, whatever gets put in front of them, whatever they create, whatever they want to investigate. So giving them that opportunity to think about thinking. It's giving them a space where they can create, whether it's on a digital device or whether it's with clay or with paper. The opportunity to make something, because we make learning when that happens. And they surprise us every time we do. It's about sharing our learning, whether it's folks learning and sharing together. A shout out to Amy Truchon, who's up there really sharing about pedagogy and teaching with technology. A shout out to Donna McDonald, who shared her space yesterday with some librarians and Ira and Pam to talk about what are the decisions we're making as we're trying to build these learning opportunities for students. And sometimes it's just about space. It's about giving kids space to assemble that learning and get comfortable with it in their skin. Giving them that space to say, this is your learning, how do you want to do it? Ms. Frizzle said it. She said, learning is messy. Take chances, make mistakes, get messy, let the kids do what they need to. Let ourselves do what we need to. It's not always going to be perfect. Out of the box, I'm hoping to use some of the things that I saw today, but it's thinking about what we can do. And the question is, if we're teachers, we're learners. What did you learn today? And what are you going to learn tomorrow? I've had a great day learning with all of you, and I hope to see many of you tomorrow. Thanks very much.
And I think we need to end by bringing up the lady who got us into this in the first place. Bonnie, could you come up for a second? I have a little present for you. The Wisdom of Crowds by James Siraki. Since you gathered the wisdom of these 11 people and brought them to this whole group, thank you, Bonnie, for getting us into this.
Thank you to all of you.
There you go. Okay, staccato mode, 5 minutes and 15, or vice versa. Thank you, Bonnie, Ira, and Pam, for being our keynotes today. Thank you to Champlain College and all the staff who have supported the conference. BSLA annual meeting immediately following the storefront.